Biology Part 239, I beg your pardon, Biology Part 240. Biology Part 240. All these activities require increasing quantities of ATP. However, the supply of ATP in the surrounding water were limited. The nucleic acids inside these cells were organized into coding systems for protein synthesis, but they were not enclosed within a nuclear membrane. Such cells are described the prokaryotic. Present-day prokaryotic include the bacteria and blue-green algae, which are described in detail in our tutorial. Other modern cells, membranes forming the nuclear envelope, these cells are described as eukaryotic. Evolution of photosynthesis. Oxygen in the atmosphere was first produced by the action of ultraviolet light on water vapors. Subsequent many organic molecules were oxidized and the natural supply of organic substances diminished. Atmospheric oxygen was also damaging because it reacted with the water to form hydrogen peroxide. This substance attacks RNA and DNA and is capable of destroying a cell's genetic instructions. Consequently, the accumulation of oxygen in the atmosphere favored organisms which were able to manufacture the enzymes catalase. This enzyme protects against the effects of hydrogen peroxide by converting it back to oxygen and water. At about the same time, a group of chemicals called the porphyrins became important molecules of these substances containing the atoms or irons and magnesiums. A major breakthrough in the evolution occurred when the certain organisms began to use particular propofin molecules, the chlorophyll. Accumulation of oxygen in the atmosphere. In addition to the light energy, photosynthesis requires a source of hydrogen ions, H+ ions, and the electrons E negative, which can be combined with the carbon dioxide to make the carbohydrates. Some of the early organisms used hydrogen sulfide, H2S, as the source of. Much more importantly, a second group developed the ability to use the water. The process of photolysis, or the light splitting of water, summarized in the equation below, provided hydrogen ions and electrons at the same time produce oxygen gas as per waste product. The release of the oxygen by phosphophoric organisms and its rapid accumulation in the atmosphere had an irreversible effect on the subsequent evolution of life. The remaining organic chemicals in the primordial soup were broken down into the carbon dioxide and the oxidized sediments, and secondly a layer of ozone, that is oxygen with molecular formula O3 rather than O2, began to appear in the upper atmosphere. This acted as a barrier to the penetration of ultraviolet light rays, and prevented the production of new organic chemicals. Consequently, conditions changed so much that they were no longer suitable for the development of living organisms from non-living material. There was the evolution of the eukaryotic cell. The difference in the structure between the prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cell has been summarized in our table. Supporting evidence for this theory is not hard to find, and there are mitochondria resembles, and we found that the symbiotic theory suggests that the cell organelles like the mitochondria, chloroplast, cilia, flagella were at one time independent organisms which became engulfed by the larger cells. That's how it went along. Some antibiotics inhibit the growth of the cells by preventing protein synthesis. These same antibiotics prevent the protein synthesis by the ribosomes inside the mitochondria and the chloroplast. Whatever the details of their evolution and appearance of eukaryotes greatly increase the potential of further development. In due course, the true multicellular organisms evolved with complex tissues and organ systems. The range of the diversity of these is the main subject of the remaining part of this tutorial. Next, we'll talk about the geological time chart.